Hello guys, I'm Super Ron, welcome back to the channel, and we're here for another Auto Shack episode and another Porsche episode. All our previous Porsche episodes and what we mainly deal with here has been 911s, but we've got a bit of an oddball this week and it's a 928 S4. So these 928s are certainly an odd looking thing. For me, it's the headlight. When they're down, they're pointing straight up at the ceiling. There's no covers, this is how they are. But when they pop up, they look extra wacky. They look like a Citroen 2CV with their little domed headlight. I'm not sure what they're thinking in the design process when pop-up lights were very common, very stylish. I guess they were trying something different. These are very popular cars, so that might be some of the appeal to some people. But for me, it looks like they went for tea break when they were designing the lights and forgot to come back in the afternoon. I mean, they're just weird. I don't even know how to describe it. What were you thinking, Porsche? See, now it looks a little 911 on the front, from the front, until you go around the side. And you see 2CV. So this car is a 1987 model, but they actually came in production in 1978. The Porsche designers were looking to do something different from the 911. They needed a replacement and they started going down the Grand Tourer route. Much more luxurious, much more refined, nicer to drive. And in the end, they didn't end up replacing the 911, but carried on alongside for 18 years. They're full of spec inside, and a great merit for me, they moved the engine from the back into the front. So now we've got an engine under the bonnet to work on. No more diving into the boot of a 911, banging your head every time you stand up. It's a transaxle layout, so the engine is in the front, but the gearbox and the diff is in the back as one unit, giving much better weight distribution. With all that extra luxury did come extra weight, so they wanted to keep it peppy and sporty, so they needed more power. They ditched the traditional 911 flat six that was always in the rear and went to a water-cooled V8 in the front. This is an S4 version, so it's 316 horsepower out of a 5-litre V8 engine, which really did finish this off as a luxurious Grand Tourer. Looking around, nothing is traditional Porsche. We've got big plastic bumpers, a much more modern design, huge rear windows, odd-shaped arches with flat tops, rubbing strips at an odd height down. A very familiar looking mirror though. They got that at the parts bin. Big plastic bumpers. The fronts are all plastic as well. Just trying to keep weight down. And inside, we've got a 4-seater. Just about, but much more headroom than 911 and a much more modern looking interior. They're still trying things different. They've got big clunky switches, and I noticed the handbrake is over here by the door, which is a bit of an odd place. Lots of controls on the door cards. Continuing down the route of the Grand Tourer, buttons and gadgets everywhere. Finally, Porsche saw sense, and under that badge at the front, they put an engine. So we've got this huge 5-litre quad cam V8 engine, nicely proportioned over the front wheels. Like I said, it's transaxle, so it's got an equal amount of weight at the front as well. So happy to see all this space. It's got a monster crumple zone at the front, oddly proportioned side repeaters. They really went to it on the design process of this. Got the S4 rear spoiler. The wraparound rear windows. Didn't have the Porsche badge, you'd never guess. It was brother and sister with the 911. Also saw we've got this Aston Martin DB7 in. It's got a bit of an alarm fault, so we've just got to do investigating in the wiring of that. Another very luxurious car of a much more modern era. This is one of our regular customers. He buys all sorts of different things from one end of the scale to the other. He was the owner of the purple MK Indy I did a video on. He's also bought us a C4 Corvette. He's got lots of TVRs, he's got Ferrari, and he's got a huge Cadillac that he's bringing in soon for us to fix the air ride on. And this is his latest purchase. The reason it's come in to us today, the bodywork looks in fantastic condition, but he said it feels really slow and lazy. Apparently the previous owner didn't use it very much at all. It's more of a Sunday drive, just to pop to a cars and coffees meet and then put it back in the garage It's done very, very little miles over the last 10 years. So it is running and driving and on the road. He just says it's really sluggish and it's got no get up and go. So we're going to do some investigation. We're going to go through the ignition system first of all, because that seems the easiest option. If it's not been used for a long, long time, we'll change the fuel filter, make sure that's all flowing fine, and go through the car and just see if we can get it back up to its full performance. I remember on an episode of Top Gear, Jeremy Clarkson was talking about these 928s, and he had one on test back when they came out. And at the time, he was living in London, and he got a phone call from his mum saying, your dad is in a bad way, you better get here quick. He was cooking a chicken in the oven, so he took it out, put it on the passenger seat, and headed straight for Sheffield. He said these are an amazing car, quite capable of cruising happily at 170 miles per hour, and he managed to get to his parents' house. The chicken was still warm when he took it in, and he got to see his dad once more, as it happens, only half an hour before he passed away. So he said if he didn't have a car this fast, he wouldn't have seen his dad one last time. So I'm quite excited to take this out for a test drive, because it sounds like these are quite a hot bit of kit. So we'll get it up on the ramp, give it a check over, and see if we can get to the bottom of this performance problem. So looking underneath, even though it's only got its one tailpipe, the V8 has got two exhaust systems going all the way down. Actually looks like it's had a resonator delete. Each side there, looks like there should be a little silencer in there. So it gives a bit of a grumble. But these are transaxle, so they've got the diff at the top there, and that's fixed directly to the gearbox. And the torque converter, the engine is all the way at the front. Here's the engine, got a nice big sump pan there, must hold quite a bit of oil. We're at 1987 with this, so all the 911s are still completely air cooled, but we're all water cooled here. But it all looks good under here, well looked after. So let's get this down, start on the work. So we're going to start with the ignition system first of all. So we've got a full set of spark plugs, we've got a full set of HT leads, 2 distributor caps and 2 rotor arms, because we've got 2 distributors on this, one on the end of each camshaft. So hopefully it'll be as simple as just working with 2 4-cylinder engines, just they happen to be joined in the middle. And that should give us the nice crisp spark that this V8 needs to give it the punch that it's missing at the moment. So we're going to get this stripped out, get to where we need, it doesn't look too bad to do, and carry on from there. Famous last words there. So as it turns out, it's not one distributor per bank. As you can see, I've colour coded them up. So orange is on this side and blue is this bank here. But this distributor has 1 and 4 blue, 2 and 3 orange. So the 1 and 4 go to this distributor, but 2 and 3 link all the way here to this one. And these are all orange. I've labelled them all up, so it's all nice and clear, and I'll be able to transfer that over to the new leads as well. I've dotted each one. So the spaghetti goes from side to side and crisscrosses over. So got all the leads off, got the 2 dizzy caps off, went to take the spark plugs out, and our first bit of Porsche awkwardness. There's 21mm spark plug sockets, but doesn't fit down the hole. It's got to be a real thin wall thing. We have this problem on 911s and like E30 M3s, they have to have their own special socket. So let's see if this has still got its original toolkit in, because usually they're included in the boot. Must be a button. Yeah. I'll pull. Oh, did you hear that? It's got a, instead of a solenoid, it sounds like it's got a little motor in there. Old school electronics. Oh, something to do with that. Right, toolkit. Here. Yeah, just like a 911. Got his own bendy thin wall spark plug socket. And there's all the motor. That must be the little boot popper there. Let's see what that does in action. Very cool. Just pops that up. So this, I thought this was, that's a These cars are funny. So this is the wiper, but the motor is here. So this bit here links into this bit here when the boot is closed. So there's no electronics in the boot itself. That links up to that. Very cool. Right, let's get these spark plugs out. So here's all the old plugs. They don't look horrendous, but that's got a nice burn on it. Then you got others that are really quite fuely, so they're not getting quite such a good spark. That one doesn't look like it's been doing a lot at all. Very wet spark plug on that one. And everything was labelled from the previous owner when it was done, so 123,000 miles, and that was in 2009. And I don't think it's done too many more miles now. So now we're on 136. So 13,000 miles in 13 years. They even labelled the mileage and the date on the distributor arm. So as we suspected, this car has not moved a lot in the last 10 years. Here's the dizzy that come off. You can see there's quite a lot of arcing on all the pins, so that wouldn't have been giving a great spark anyway. So we've got the new one to go on. See, nice and clean and fresh. Same with the rotor arm, very pitted compared to the nice shiny new one. So that should work much better. Focus, see what lots of arcing on there. So let's get this all fitted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, they're all in. That was a whole load of spaghetti, so I'm just going to try it firing up before I clip all the leads and bolt them all in. Okay. I've just run it up and there's quite a blow from the exhaust. See the V8 goes twin exhaust all the way back, and I found, if you can see, here it's a little takeoff for like lambda reading or EGR or something, and that pipe there is actually hot but broken. This side has already been disconnected and had a bolt put in. So I think I'll blank that off. I'll show you at the top in a minute what it's actually for. But as you can see, that's where it's leaking from, and that just bolts in the top of the exhaust. So I've got that fitting off, welded up the end, Mr. MIG. So now we can get it back on and that won't be blowing anymore. And we're all back together. Wasn't too bad to do in the end, just those HT leads crossing over like that. Just needed to keep track on what went where, but we're all back together, we're all up and running, and that exhaust blow is now fixed by that little union welded up. And the other end of those pipes, they attach at the back there, see that little blue rubber bung? They're blanked off. I don't know if there's some emissions thing that's not used, but they don't actually go anywhere. There's the other one, because there's these filters at the front, which don't seem to go anywhere either. But apart from those leads crossing over at the front, that wasn't too bad. And with that all done, I think we're ready for a test drive and see if we've got that performance back. Put the spark plug tool back. Right, let's see how this V8 goes. Well, it's definitely got the V8 rumble back there. Nice and smooth. picks up the revs nicely, so I think we've got a nice crisp spark here now. It's hard to say because it's an automatic, it's an old school torque converter, it's automatic. Let's try from a start. So let's try this from a standing start and see how it does. And there's 60. Now, is that fast for one of these? I think it should be a little bit quicker than that. So we're back in the workshop, but I don't think I've reached a full conclusion on this because, to be honest, it just doesn't feel fast enough to what it should be. A 5 litre V8, 316 horsepower, 1.5 tonnes, it should be a lot quicker than it is. It might be down just to the auto gearbox, it's old fashioned, acting lazy. Maybe they're a lot faster in the manual version, I don't know. But I wasn't blown away by the performance I was expecting with this. But I think I'm gonna wrap this episode up here because... Stop the press, we've had a development and we've got a new part. Well, I had ended the video there, but we couldn't just leave things like that. You know how we need to get to the bottom of these problems. We can't just let things be unfinished. So we've done a little bit more research. And what it seems to be is on these, they have a really old school airflow meter, a hot wire setup, and they're prone to going bad, overage, and it can cause these problems with the laziness of the lack of power. So we've done a little bit more research. We found someone that does refurbish these. So that's what's in this box. We're about 2 months later because we had it off, we sent it away, we got them to rebuild it at JDS, Porsche parts. And this should be our airflow meter back, fully refurbished. And that looks a bit newer from when we left it. So it's all been taken apart, rebuilt, and they've put new wires down the middle. So now we can get this back on and see if it's solved our problems. We've got the car back in, we've got a whole list of do's and don'ts, what's to do with the new airflow meter and how to set it up. But it actually lives right down the back here. So we've just got to slot this back in its little boot, put the airbox back on the top, and then give it a go. So we're all back together, everything's plugged in, and they did say on their little piece of paper to leave the battery disconnected for a bit, and then the ECU should readjust to the new math and it should sort itself out. So let's see if it'll start. Woohoo! That's all sounding okay. So it's just going to adjust itself now. The ECU will take the new parameters of the math and it will learn itself, and then we should be good to go for a test. Just before we go out and get everything wet, because it's pouring down outside, we've got a couple more jobs to do. We've got a few electrical problems in here. The electric mirrors don't work, the seat memory doesn't work, cruise control doesn't work, and we've got a few little other things. So I thought I'd find the fuse panel under here, just like a 911. And I found this little packet taped to it, and in here we've got the diagram, and even got page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4 of all the fuses, all the relays, what the location is, what their number is, all sits under here, ready for when men were men and could fix their cars themselves. So I've taken this out, and this is what I see a lot of in 80s cars. When everything was becoming electronic, but the technology wasn't there, it was all old school. Look at that for a fuse box. All of those are different relays. When they started to have all these electric gizmos, but not the circuit boards to do it, so it's all controlled by individual relays. You can see how many 53 relays there are there. All the fuses along the top. I had the same in the E28 BMW. Old school technology. In a modern car these days, this is in like a little module about this big, but this is how it was done back in the day. So I'm just going to check all the fuses and see if I can find out why all that's not working. But I thought that was pretty cool to see these. It's going to help me no end. So I'm just under the dash here trying to get the heaters working properly, the little motors. So I've just been going through all the wiring diagrams for them, and I found some automotive archaeology. I love finding stuff like this. So tucked up there around the steering column, we've got these old, this is a ferry pass for red funnel ferries to the Isle of Wight, and he got on there at 4:30 in the afternoon. Got another parking slip for the Isle of Wight Council. There's no dates or times on that one. Don't know if this was for the ferry or for a car show, but the owner's name once upon a time was Roy Barrett. But this is the one. We've got a parking slip here for Saturday, 27th of June, 1992. This has been under there for over 30 years. If you look on the back, see the ticket printed 1989, WMC Vauxhall, 1992. They'd have been putting out the fresh Mark III Astra GSIs. But yeah, I love finding cool stuff like this. And that also means no one's been rummaging around here in the last 30 years. Credit to the German engineering and lasting. I'll give these to the current owner as a bit of memorabilia and carry on finding this motor problem. Right, we've got all our little jobs ticked off. Car's all warmed up. So we'll take it for a little test drive. It is absolutely pouring down today, but hopefully we can still get a good idea if this airflow meter has solved the problem. We might have a few traction issues on our 0 to 60 as a comparison, but let's find out. So we'll take it to our little private drag strip again and give it a launch and see what happens. Work out how to use these 1980s, oh, there we go, heater controls. Right, off to the drag strip. Right, let's give this a try and see if we're any better. Oh, I think we've got a bit of a traction issue. Oh, but that is definitely 100% solved the problem. So let's try again, come to a stop and, oh, bit of a traction issue. Oh, that's more like it. Woo! We have solved the problem. Right, let's see if we can do a 0 to 60 comparison with the other one. So we might struggle for traction. Oh yeah. And there's 60. Now that is what I was expecting from this thing the first time around. This absolutely flies now. A lightweight V8, well balanced, front engined, transaxle. This thing is a rocket ship now. The owner will be very, very pleased. And now it's got all its power back. The gearbox is so much more smoother. Before it was really struggling between changes because it was quite a harsh change before. So now with everything back in sync, that's actually ticked off 2 jobs for us. So as funny as these do look on the outside, it is a pretty cool car. Even just cruising along now, 40 miles per hour, you accelerate, hits kick down, and you actually get some power, push back in your seat. It's got all his power back. It's actually Lee that found out on his research about these airflow meters. It's the same airflow meter as on an E39 M5. They have run exactly the same setup and suffer from exactly the same problems. So it's just old school technology, early airflow meters. So now this is the car that Jeremy Clarkson was talking about. It's absolutely pouring down now, so I'm going to take it back to the workshop before things get out of hand and this ends up changing direction. We'll get it cleaned up and ready for the customer. So that is now officially going to wrap up the work on this. I'm so glad we got to the bottom of the problem. There's nothing worse than having to send the car back and the problem hasn't been solved. And now I know what Jeremy Clarkson was talking about with the speed of these. This is an absolute ripper. And I'm also so glad that I managed to get this all done in the same episode. It was nearly left on a bit of a downer, but we are on a high. So the customer's going to get this one back and clock up some quality miles on it. But from one V8 owner to another, this is going to be pretty juicy because when you press that loud pedal, this sounds amazing. So make sure you give this video a like and be sure to tune in next time because as you can see, we've got a workshop full of cars and they range anything from a classic Mini restoration, we've got a show car build, also got a classic Saab 900 turbo and we've got another show car in the corner. So there's no telling what we've got next. But until next time, make sure you have fun.